Hello again and welcome back to the Book of Brett and another episode of Manic Movie Reviews. If you are new to the channel, please consider hitting the subscribe button to catch newer episodes coming out in the future. And if you have subscribed to the channel, thank you so much for subscribing. It really does mean the world to me when even one person subscribes to the channel. But today we are going to be reviewing 2021's Blood Red Sky out on Netflix. This is currently streaming on Netflix, came out on July 23rd. It is even on the trending list right alongside the Twilight Saga, which I find really amusing because this is a vampire movie, but it could not be more opposite of the Twilight Saga. Now, full disclosure, I've never seen the Twilight Saga, nor had the desire to see the Twilight Saga, so this will not be a comparison. I just wanted you to know that there are two very different vampire options for you on Netflix right now. But Blood Red Sky is about this woman who is flying to New York with her son, presumably for cancer treatment at first. I watched the trailer after watching the movie, and I really feel like the trailer and IMDb synopsis really don't do the movie justice. And speaking of IMDb synopsis, I'll just read from there to give you kind of the gist of what's going on in this movie. A woman with a mysterious illness is forced into action when a group of terrorists attempt to hijack a transatlantic overnight flight. That's like the vaguest description you could really give of this movie. I have mentioned several times how I feel about Netflix's trending list. I do kind of consider it bullshit, and I figured out why. Because I was reading an article that's from February of this year. It was a Vanity article, and you could take most of their stuff with a grain of salt. But they were saying that the Netflix algorithm is actually based off of a 2-minute block. So if you watch something for 2 minutes, it counts towards the trending list, which seems like it kind of backs up my whole theory that it's bullshit, because 2 minutes is not dedication to anything. I'll usually give something 5 or 10 minutes at the least before I really decide if it's worth continuing watching it. I mean, some opening credits are 2 minutes long. I mean, that's a bullshit system to base your whole algorithm off of if you're pushing more stuff out to people. And that's how you see these movies on the trending list where you start to go, this isn't good at all. How did this end up trending? That was not the case with Blood Red Sky. I truly enjoyed this movie. This was a hell of a fun ride. It really was. I haven't looked at the ratings or anything. I think I saw on IMDb while I was reading the synopsis just a second ago. I think I saw it was like 6.1 stars out of 10. And I would give it more like, if I had a rating system, as everyone knows at this point, I don't have a rating system, but if I was doing it based off of 10 stars, I would give this like 7 or maybe, probably more like 8 stars, because there's an awesome story in here. The acting is done very well. It's shot very well. From a cinematography standpoint, nothing too crazy, nothing bad. It's very good. Just, you know, nothing like groundbreaking or anything like that. The lighting is fantastic. I'm going to give you the warning right now. There are going to be spoilers in this review. I'm going to try to make them not too detailed or anything like that, but it's kind of hard to talk about this story without really kind of touching on a couple spoilers. So, as I said, yes, they're on this overnight flight from Germany to New York. And on this flight, a group of terrorists hijack the plane, and she does end up kind of having to go into bad mode. Basically what's going on is she's infected with the disease that causes vampirism. We do get a couple scenes, like flashback scenes throughout the movie, that show how she got bitten, showing why her husband isn't around anymore, and there are a lot of really heart-wrenching scenes in this movie. This is kind of one of them, simply because you can see how much they really do love each other, or how much they did love each other. There are moments with her son that are very touching, that kind of like tug at your heartstrings. There are also a shitload of awesome action scenes in this movie. I was talking to Brittany earlier because I called her at work because she's got a real job, and I told her my best description of the movie was like, if you took the genre, the vampire genre, and meshed it with Die Hard 2, you would get kind of Blood Red Sky. I mean, there's a lot more to it than that, but if I was going to make like a vague comparison, that's pretty much what it would be. Touching on the whole vampire aspect, this is a really cool diversion from what we're really seeing a lot of in the vampire genre, I think. Twilight comes to mind. You know, you whitened the faces a little bit, gave them cool contacts, and you gave them cool teeth, and now they're vampires, and it's meant to look really cool, and it's really cool to be a vampire. And this movie really takes the whole vampire genre, or at least that aspect of the vampire genre, and really goes a whole other direction with it. She is not happy being a vampire. She meets one of the other vampires, the father of the guy that bit her. Even he talks about how this is an evil we can't allow to spread throughout the world. It's viewed as a bad thing. It's viewed as a curse. It's viewed as a disease, a virus. The vampire prosthetics, the makeup, awesome. It's awesome. Like seriously, I did not have anything bad to say about this movie. I don't have anything bad to say about it. Except, okay, I take that back. There is one part of the movie, and that's where basically there's this scene where she's got one of the vampires, one of the terrorists in this movie is a psycho, and it's mentioned by his teammates, I guess. They call him Psycho all the time. Like, the dude is like a certified lunatic. And at one point he actually ends up infecting himself, and that's where this movie gets like fucking bonkers. At one point she's trying to kill him off because she realizes what he's doing. Like she actually sees him infect himself with blood he pulled from her earlier, and she can't get into the car because it's got bulletproof glass, and so she ends up getting through with a pipe that looks like it's maybe like 4 to 6 inches in diameter, and she ends up pouring liquor in there, throwing a match in, and lighting the car on fire. And mind you, this car is on fire on the outside because some of the alcohol spilled on the outside, but most of it's dumped inside. And at one point, they end up hitting the fire extinguishers in the cargo hold. And this puts out all the fire. It puts out the fire on the outside of the car, and it also puts out fire on the inside of the car. And this is where I really had a problem, because basically it would have had to cover the entire inside of the car, and it all has to get through a hole that's like this big around. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's meant to do that. Maybe it's meant to get into little crevices. I just had a really hard time with this, but it was by no means enough to pull me away from this movie or ruin anything from this movie. The lady that plays our protagonist in this movie is phenomenal in this movie. She makes this awesome transition from this very like afraid looking woman, very meek looking woman, and when she transitions into a vampire, she makes this transition like seamlessly, but we still get these moments of emotion and humanity out of her while she's playing this vampire, and she did an amazing job doing that. It's just a great movie. Like I said, we've got a good story here. We've got something that, though not completely original, at least isn't just another superhero movie. It's not just a reiteration or a regurgitation of the same crap we see over and over and over again. I will say I watched this movie with the subtitles because not only were the voices, they just didn't match the characters, I felt like, but once I switched it over, I realized the original actors did a far better job than the voice actors did, like a far better job. And I'll be honest, I love the German language. I can't speak any of it except what probably everybody else who can't speak German probably can speak. And so I did watch it with the subtitles on, but as I said before, there is a lot of English dialogue in this movie. And so at a certain point, you don't even really need to look down at the dialogue. This movie also relies on a lot of what's going on screen to tell the story, which I think is awesome. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a ton of dialogue. It's not artsy or anything like that. It does have some very artistic lighting. The lighting down in the cargo hold when she's battling it out with other vampires and then this main bad guy, and that lighting is phenomenal, and you really get to see how cool the makeup is. The makeup on this like main antagonist, I guess you could call him. The terrorist group is the antagonist, but then we have this main guy who's a fucking lunatic. His name's, I think, is 8-Ball. The makeup on him is incredible, and he did an amazing job too. I'm not going to ruin the ending. I'm going to throw some clips up here to show parts of the ending, but I'm not going to give it away because it is, it's heavy. This movie ends, I feel like, the way it should. It had the perfect ending for the story it was telling and how everything progressed, and it's just, it was an incredibly well done movie. I highly, highly recommend going and watching Blood Red Sky. It's been out for about a week now. I know I'm a little bit late on this one, but as always, work life. Trying to find that balance, and the quicker we can get to 1,000 subscribers and I can monetize this thing and grow it from there, the more I can start putting into this, because this is really my passion. Every time I step into the studio to do these videos, I realize how much I really love doing these videos and how much this is kind of like my creative passion outlet and break away from the stuff that I'm doing, like real estate, weddings, other stuff like that. So go watch Blood Red Sky. It is streaming right now on Netflix. It's about a 2-hour watch, but it flies by. It really does. It doesn't feel like 2 hours. It just, the whole thing is awesome. If you guys have not subscribed to the channel already, please do consider subscribing. If you have subscribed, thank you so much. As I said at the beginning, it means the world to me when I get even 1 subscriber. If you have any movie suggestions, leave them down in the comments. And I would also love to see down in the comments what you guys thought of this movie. Did you find it as refreshing as I did? Did you find it as fun and as well crafted as I did? I really hope you did, because I really, really think this movie deserves any praise and attention that comes its way. But with all of that said, again, subscribe, like, dislike if you didn't like it, comment, and I will see you guys next time.